Okay, so on this training, we're going to talk about preparing for a client call. Now, one of the things you'll need to do in your role is to talk to our clients as much as possible. There are a number of reasons why we do this, but basically it helps to build the relationship with them. And you'll be doing this 2 or 3 times a week to start off with, gradually building up to calling all of the clients at least once a week. So when you prepare for a call, we need to think about a number of things. But firstly, I want to talk to you about why we call clients. Lots of reasons. Updating them, reassuring them, asking them questions and looking for the answers for those questions, feedback, and obviously to build a relationship with the clients. And the more you can do of all of those, the better the communications will go. They'll get used to hearing from you, they'll build up a relationship with you, and before you know it, it'll be, oh hi, how are you? And you'll be talking to them as though you were old friends. Okay, so before the call, it's really useful to prepare what you're going to say. So it might be worth jotting down just a piece of paper, bullet points, a list of things you want to talk to them about. And then if you're concerned about the call, or you haven't found the client before, or you're not sure of the client, it's worth having a chat with your manager just to talk through the list of things that you're going to talk to the client about. It's also good to have the relevant documents up on your screen available to you, so you don't need to look for them while you're talking. It's really annoying if you're trying to desperately to find a document and you can't find it. It can be really annoying for the client. And also something else to do before you call, if there's a lot of items that you want to discuss with your client, just drop the client a quick email and let them know you'll be calling and the list of bullet points that you want to have a chat with them about. Also ask yourself at this point, when you've written down your list of bullet points, whether the client needs to answer this or whether someone else in the team can answer this. There's nothing worse than asking a client a simple question that could be easily answered by one of the team here, and you never know, one of your managers or someone else might know the answer to it. So if that's the case, take it off the list. Okay, so then you pick up the phone and you talk to your client. So obviously tell your client who's calling, give your name, and say you're calling from Exceptional Thinking if they don't know already. Obviously if they know you quite well, then there's no need to do that. The next thing to do is just ask whether it's a convenient time, because you never know, they may be in the middle of something or it may be a really busy time for them. So so just ask them quickly, is now a good time to call? So your conversation might go, oh hi Lynn, it's Faye here from Exceptional Thinking. Yeah, how are you? Yeah, good, thanks, and all the rest of it. And then I might just say to Lynn, oh, yeah, I just want to check with you. There's a couple of things I want to run past you. Is now a good time, or do you want me to call you back? So always ask if it's a convenient time. And then also the other thing you want to do before you start getting into it is warn them if there are more than 3 things to discuss, and ask if that's okay. So you might say something like, oh, I've got 4 or 5 things to just have a quick chat with you about. Would you like me to give you a call back, or have you got time now to go through it? I'm going to give you some more techniques about staying in control of the call and stalling tactics and ending the call in a second. But once you've done your introduction and opening to the call, it's now your job you've made the call, so it's now your job to stay in control of it. So let's talk about that. There's a saying, I'm not sure who said this, but there's a saying that the person asking the questions is the one in control of the call. So if you're asking the questions and you're guiding the call and you've got an agenda in front of you because you prepared this, that should all help you stay in control of the call. Remember, you're the expert. Give your advice and opinion if asked. So if the client says to you, what do you think about X? Feel free to give your advice and opinion, and then stall if you don't know the answer. So I'll come on to that in a second. Because you've prepared your call and you've got a bullet point of your agenda, run through your agenda with the client. And then also, and this is something you need to think about before you make the call, be clear on what you want the client to do. So it could be, if you want the client to approve something, ask them for their approval. It could be that if you're chasing something, be specific that you're looking for something and by when. But, there's no point in just sort of giving an update to the client, really. It's about why we're calling them, what do you want from the client. Remember, these clients are really busy, so the clearer you are before you make that call what you want from the client, the better. Let's talk about stalling tactics. So if the client throws you a curveball and you're not sure of the answer, we stall them. So they might say something like, oh, I've been thinking about doing a white paper, what do you think about that? I would say something like, oh, of course, that sounds like a really good idea. Let me have a chat with Helen or Nick and I'll come back to you on that. So, you know, if you're not sure of the answer, you can stall them. And then if they come back round to that again and you're still not sure, simply repeat that phrase back to them. So, yeah, sounds great. Let me have a chat with Helen or Nick, and, you know, I'll get some guidance on the best way to approach that, and I'll come back to you. So keep repeating that. Okay, and then throughout your call, you want to think about the ending as well. I always like to summarize any actions, so yours or theirs. So I might say something like, so just to summarize, what we're going to do is action point 1, action point 2, action point 3. And then you want to thank them for their time. Oh, so thanks so much for your time, Lynn. Great to speak to you today. And I'll also say to her, you know, something like, I'll have all these actions. I'll come back to you later on today, or I'll come back to you tomorrow to tell them when you'll complete those actions. Okay. And then tips here. So never, ever, ever get annoyed with the client, no matter what they say. You know, it can be easy to do, but your tone will be picked up by the client really, really easily on the phone call, because you've got less cues to work off. So don't let your annoyance show. Also, if you need to ask someone in the office a question, don't whisper it down the phone. Your voice will carry to the client. Put them on hold instead, where you check, or write on a piece of paper and pass it over. If you're in trouble, or you don't know what to say, or the client's becoming aggressive, or you need some help with it, put the call onto loudspeaker and one of us will help you. And also try not to use repetitive phrases. So if you're saying fantastic loads or lovely jubbly loads, it might sound okay to you, but it's going to come across as annoying to the client. Once is fine, several times is a problem. Okay. So after the call, I always think it's a good idea to summarise your call and the actions back to the client in an email, so everyone's got a record of the conversation. And then obviously remember to update Trello to ensure everyone knows what actions are needed. Okay, so before your call, write down a list of bullet points of things you need to talk to them about, and make sure you're clear on what action you want from the client. Talk it through with your manager, have the relevant documents available to you on your screen. Email the client if there's lots of items, and ask yourself, does the client need to answer this, or can you get answers from the team? During the call, remember your opening, tell them who's calling, ask if it's convenient, and warn them if there's more than 3 things to discuss, and ask if that's okay. And then throughout the call, stay in control by remembering you're the expert. Give your opinion if asked. Run through your agenda of the client and be clear on what you want from the client. You know, why are we making this call here? And you should know that if you've prepared well for your call. Stalling. So if the client throws you a curveball or you're not sure of the answer, you know, say something like, yeah, that sounds great. Let me have a chat with Helen and or Nick and come back to you shortly. Okay. And keep repeating that if they keep going on about it. And then end the call, summarize the call, tell them when you come back to them with completed actions, and thank them for their time. And then afterwards, summarize your call and any actions back to the client in an email, so that you've got a record of the conversation, and update Trello to ensure everyone knows what actions are needed. Okay, so if you do all of those, you should be well prepared for your client calls. Remember, your manager is always very happy to sit with you on a client call if you're not sure about it, so don't be afraid to do that if you want to.